Hello everyone and welcome back for the first time in a while to CTCR. We are back for the first time since April of this year, and well, in case you can't read the date, it is the 9th of December. So we have had about the 8-month break from this league, but we are back. We're ready to go for the first round of season 6. We have 16 drivers on the grid tonight. I'm pretty sure 12 of them are actual racers with 4 reserves. We're about to get underway for the Mexican Grand Prix. So, as the grid seems quite quiet at the moment, we are waiting until there are some movements down in the pit lane. There may be rain in the race, we don't know. I have no more communication with the Discord until the end of the race, unless something dramatic happens. And we do have a car out. It is a Red Bull, and it is the Red Bull of Lucas Paul, 73, on his outlap. The Season 1 runner-up and last time winning out in Season 5 round opener. Can he win the round opener here in Mexico as well? He has had not very successful seasons, his last successful season being of course second runners-up in Season 2 as well, to Randro 17's championship winning season. He had one season in the Red Bull, which was in Season 3 before he moved back to Ferrari for the short RSL Season 4. And he is back in the Red Bull again by his own will. He wanted to be a Red Bull driver, and he goes alongside SLR Quattro in the Red Bull, who of course is the reigning world champion and of course the champion from Season 4 as well. He hasn't really had a championship battle. You could say maybe Caden was a bit of a championship battle, but I don't think he really was. He was thereabouts, but Quattro seemed to, other than maybe in the early rounds, seemed to have that fairly well covered until he eventually won in round 11 in China. But from all the way back in April, we are back underway, and Lucas Paul is going to give us our first timed lap of the restart of Season 6. So, as he heads down the main straight now, all the way down to turn 1, speed trap at the end of this straight. You should be maxing out your revs all the way down into the first chicane. He shifts down well to third gear as he takes it then through 2 and out through 3, getting on the power as quickly as possible. DRS opened down towards the next section, another very immersive section with the crowd. Not the only one in this track, as he goes into turn 4. Gets a good line going through 5 before getting on the power again through this almost double apexed hairpin up at turn 6, and now into the most difficult section of the track. They can be invalidated so easily around here as he heads through the corners now. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 to be precise. This is where it can all go wrong, but it's gone really well for Lucas Paul. DRS open now on the run down towards the stadium section. Turn 12 now, the final bit of DRS of this lap, as this is one of the only tracks on the calendar that has a DRS train or a DRS activation after the start finish line, as he heads through the stadium section around turn 16 and now the long turn 17, trying to keep the power down as quickly as possible. A 1:17.9 is our first lap. Can it be beaten out by Orabeng? Yes, it can. After that comes Ski Fan, and then it's the McLaren of Marshy taking a good run to the line, and he goes quickest by 1.3 seconds. After that is Hyper starting a lap. Behind him is Psych. Can he improve on Marshy's time? He can only go second. Next up is the Mercedes of SJ Williams. He comes into the pits, which means that the next driver will be Brandon Clark, 041, next to the line, and he goes to the front row. Next after that is SLR Quattro, and he goes on pole by 4 tenths. JRR up next, just behind Quattro, 3 tenths to be exact, as there is an Alpine of Damie coming next. He goes slowest by 3 tenths. After that is Owen Curry, now in the Alfa Romeo. He goes 6th Then it's Caden Conway, who's still 3/10 off the pace of Quattro, but moves himself to the front row. It's Jake May, goes 9th fastest with a 17.8. And that is the last round of the first set of laps. Hyper delayed his coming out of pits, so we get to ride on board with him for the next while now, going through Sector 3 as he finishes his first run. He'll probably only get 2 runs in now because of that. He'll come back into the pits, probably sit around then until the end, unless he can get in and out nice and quick. But here he is now, coming around the final corner. Hyper, the Irishman in the green car, to the line. It is the top 10. It's 8th fastest for Hyper, 295 F1. So that's the first round of laps completed, and SLR Quattro, the reigning champion in CTCR for 2 times in a row, looking to make it 3 this season. And well, he's got off to the best possible start in this first part of qualifying. 11 people watching, you're very welcome to the stream. 3 people not set a lap so far. Randro came out, but came in on his out lap, or his in lap, I'm pretty sure, or his out lap, I mean. YT Silk was the same, and SJ Williams abandoned his lap and came straight into the pits. So SJ Silk, I'm pretty sure, or YT Silk I should say, is next to start a lap, unless I think Psych may be going again. We'll have a look now. He's missing apexes, and that's not like Psych, so we'll just assume that he's coming into the pits. So YT Silk in that beautiful looking Abu Dhabi Ferrari, cruising down the main straight now and into turn 1. Goes a bit wide through 2 and is going to have to compromise his line now through 3, and he won't get the best of runs down towards 4. His first sector, he's looking like a 29.3. It says purple sector, it's definitely not. But he doesn't seem to be doing that bad. He's hitting the apexes. Maybe his runs could get on the power maybe a little bit quicker. But we'll see now what he can cook through Sector 2 now. Oh, he's gone a bit wide, but he's taken a good line, and it is a good lap so far from Silk. It's looking like maybe he might be able to sneak into that top 10. It is a very spread out grid, 2.7 seconds. Damie is off the leader. Silk is going to hopefully get well in between it all. There's also a big jump from P9 up to P8. YT Silk has set a nice one in between them all in P9, so not a bad lap from the Ferrari driver at all. Currently running in the points. SJ Williams hasn't validated his lap again, as Randro 17 does seem to be coming out of the pits now finally for his first lap of the session. There's yellow flags into Sector 1. It's YT Silk taking it slowly, letting some cars by. Psych, oh, he is back on another lap because he's only a 10th down, so he'll be pushing through this final part of the lap. Oh, but he's gotten on the curb too much there, he's invalidated, and because of that he's come into the pits. So Ski Fan is next to start a lap, or I think it's actually Marshy going through the first sector now on the medium tyres, might I say. He's coming down now towards turn 4 into Sector 1. We'll see, is he improving on these medium tyres? Oh, he has pretty much matched his time. Only 7 thousandths of a second off his personal best. All the time is to be made in this middle sector where the track is constantly getting better. Evolution of the track, I should say. I was going to say revolutionise, but I don't think that's the word, unless evolutionise is a word. As he's flying now down towards turn 12. He is now 10th down, so he's going to have a really good stadium section and hope that this Williams gets out of his way, which it partially does. So this is the important bit now. Has he improved or has he not? Marshy has abandoned. Oh, and nearly puts himself out of qualifying. He comes into the pits. So Ski Fan will be next, but he has also abandoned his lap. Damie's 2 tenths up in the first sector. Orabang just starting his lap, same with Hyper and same with Oven Curry, so we'll keep an eye on Damie Currently 2/10 up on his Sector 1 and now heading down towards Sector 2. That static camera makes the cars seem so much slower than they actually are going. But he is flying it, and he has set a much better lap so far than he has his first. Now a little bit more time, and he may be looking at into that kind of midfield area of that 12 to P9 area, all split by less than 2/10. And is he going to be in there? Damie to the line. Oh, he's jumped Ski Fan, but he just hasn't quite got close enough. Next across the line will be Owen Curry. He goes 6/10 quicker and onto the front row. JRR starting his lap after his out lap is complete. Hyper's up next. He's invalidated, so behind him will be, I think, Randro 17, or it's actually Randro's teammate Orabang up next. He's 6/10 quicker, goes P9. Randro now to the line. This is his first lap, and he has only gone 10th fastest, so the one-time champion, hoping to come back to absolute glory, so far only 10th fastest. Syke is up next, starting his lap, as Caden Conway has picked up a grid penalty for a collision, as Brandon goes 3rd. Now what has happened there with Caden? He has a red wing, he's hoping for one of his best races of all time, and after a collision with the man on pole, he will definitely be complaining a lot about that. So that will be investigated after the races. JRR goes quickest, just about going round on his lap. Owen Curry has abandoned his lap. Oh well, he hasn't abandoned his lap, he was on his in lap, sorry. Hyper flies into the pits, he rips out the bollard, and Orabang spins around the final corner. Seems to be doing a few donuts there, and almost crashes into his teammate, who's going to fly into the pits ahead of him and get a better run. And Orabang, a bit dangerous there, but luckily doesn't pick up any sort of penalty, as it looks like Syke has improved and has gone into the top 5. So Caden needs a really good lap here towards the end in order to start at least 6th because of his grid penalty. It's just unfortunately how it goes. It's Jake Mate and Lucas Paul aren't on flying laps. I think it's Jake Mate has built up enough energy to maybe start one. I think Lucas Paul is coming in. Yes, he is. And it's Jake Mate is also coming in. So they're all getting prepared for that final run in qualifying. JRR will be the same, and so will Syke. So I think SJ Williams is the only person on a lap here at the moment. He has had a few invalid ones, but this so far not a bad first sector. It's looking like maybe in and around the top 10 if he keeps this pace up now. The Mercedes reserve with his teammate, who he hasn't had a great history with in this league, colliding a few times in what was tier 2 in season 5, and they've definitely had their problems. But and he's invalidated again, so pressure's going to be on him. I'm sure he'll come into the pits and try and restart and get going again. We'll keep an eye on that. Caden is out, he's ready to start his final flying lap, and it needs to be perfect. We'll see what the Ferrari driver can do. So JRR is on pole from SLR Quattro, still yet to improve from his first lap. Brandon Clark on the second row along with Owen Curry, as Syke and Caden make it an Irish and Dutch third row. Marshy and Hyper take up the fourth row, and it's an all Williams fifth row with Orabang and Randro so far. It's Jake May 11th with Lucas Paul in behind him. Silk and Damie make up the 7th row, with Skifan and SJ Williams making up the 8th, as Caden Conway crosses the line and starts his final lap of the session. He wants it to be a big race here. It could have been his first win in CTCR Season 4, or RSL I should say at the time. He set one of the greatest laps I have ever seen in Mexico and took pole by I think maybe 0.5 of a second. He cruised, and then of course the late safety car and all the drama that happened that race really did affect him. But he's a 10th up in the first sector, which is a good start for the Ferrari driver. He needs to shave another 3, maybe even 4 tenths off that in order to collect his first pole position award of the season, as now he goes into turn 7 and through now this really difficult sector 2 part of the lap. This is where laps can go wrong, but for Caden it's going very much right as he powers now down towards turn 12. He's 4 tenths up and he's set the fastest second sector of the lap. So this is where it's all or never for the Ferrari drivers. He locks up going into turn 13, but he still manages to, I think, gain a bit of time. And now through the final corner, Caden Conway to the line. It's pole position by a mere 2 thousandths or 200ths of a second. So can anyone else improve enough to beat that? Next to cross the line with a lap will be SLR Quattro, and he has matched his time in the first sector, and he needs to improve by just at least a tenth in order to take pole away from Caden, who obviously won't be starting pole because of his grid penalty, but he will at least start the highest position he can. He has matched his time in the second sector, so it's all to gain here and also all to lose in the final sector. SLR Quattro around the final corner. Will it be pole for the Red Bull? It's not. He misses out. He does improve, but not by enough. It's not going to be pole for SLR Quattro. So next to cross the line will be YT Silk. He's 4 tenths up on his time and has a possibility of maybe just getting into the top 10. One Ferrari on pole. Where will the other be? As YT Silk is going to cross the line, and he does improve, but not by enough to improve his position. After this, to cross the line will be Syke, starting a lap. Caden, I think, is going again, maybe, as I see Williams crossing the line. JRR also getting ready to cross the line. They're leaving it very late to go again, and maybe Caden is going again as well. If he has no ERS, so he's not going to be able to have another go at this. There's a yellow flag into sector 1. It's Caden on low fuel mode. He has retired from the session. We hope that doesn't get in the way of anyone else. Quattro, I think, maybe building up his ERS to go again. So next to cross the line, I'm pretty sure it's Jake May, but he's not going to improve. Hyper about to start a lap. I think that's Brandon Clark, or no, it's SJ Williams coming steaming through on his only lap here, and he's finally kept this one valid. So SJ Williams, where can he go? He goes 14th fastest, and he's a Red Bull behind him of SLR Quattro. Into the pits, retires. That's qualifying over for him. Lucas Paul is next across the line. He's started a lap, and it's Owen Curry, I think, has finished qualifying. He cannot improve. So it's all to play for here. As Syke, who was a 10th down on his time, still a 10th down, qualifying over for him. Next across the line will be Orabeng. He's a 10th up. Where can he put his car? He puts it 8th fastest. JRR is next. He's a 10th up, and he's now back on pole position. A great lap from JRR. He's onto pole. Skifan, 3 tenths up. Can he move up his place? He can't. He stays slowest. Next will be Randro, a 10th up on his time. Where can he put his car? He can't improve his position. Stays 10th fastest. Can Brandon snatch pole? No, he spun at the final corner. He looked to have maybe snatched a front row start, but he spun at the final corner, and it's 4th best as Meshi stays 7th fastest. It's Jake May is next. He's a 10th up. Where can he go? Stays 11th. Hyper's next, also a 10th up. Can't improve. Stays 9th. There's not much improvements going around the grid. As next and finally will be Lucas Paul, who has invalidated, so it won't be him either. Owen Curry down on his time, and Syke, we'll have to wait for him, but I'm pretty sure he's down on his time. That is qualifying over. It's an all Ferrari engined front row but it's the Haas that tops it. JRR will be on pole tomorrow's race. Caden is going to unfortunately have to start 7th because of his penalty, whether it was his fault or not. We can't restart the session as SLR Quattro lines up on the second row with Brandon and Owen Curry taking up the second row. I was supposed to say Quattro on the front row alongside JRR. Syke and Marshy take up the third row. Then it's Caden and Orabang, and Hyper and Randro rounds out the points. So during the formation lap of the race, there will not be any commentary. My dog unfortunately passed away yesterday, and I would like just a moment of silence from when the lights go green to the end of Sector 2. So I didn't actually realise Quattro has a penalty as well. So it's going to be Brandon Clark who will be on the front row nonetheless. Even though he spun at the end, it didn't matter because he wasn't going to get pole, but he's getting the front row nonetheless. So Caden and Quattro start 7th and 8th, and Orabang and Marshy both move up 2 places. Happy for them. So we'll get on to the race next, and I'll do a little bit of an introduction and then the moment of silence before we get going once the car in front So the Mexican Grand Prix, it looks sunny, maybe rain could be expected on the forecast. There'll just be a moment of silence, and all you'll hear will be the cars going round until we reach turn 12. The pole car reaches turn 12. So we're about to get underway. JRR heading around the final corner. Luckily Caden actually starts 6th because Orabang doesn't get to jump him because he wasn't supposed to jump him because of the penalty. So Caden dropped 5 places, and then Quattro dropped 5 places, and that moved Caden back up to 6th. So JRR is about to line up on pole. There's been no problems in the formation lap, which is great to see. Connection seems very clean here. Hopefully the race is equally as clean as the Haas driver previously won a race in Singapore of season 5. He has 19 starts, 117 points, 3 podiums and 1 win to his name. He lines up on the front row alongside another fellow race winner of Brandon Clark, who has 8 starts, 39 points, 1 podium, and that 1 podium being the Chinese Grand Prix victory. So we're about to get underway here for the Mexican City Grand Prix as we go to 5 red lights. It's lights out and away we go. It's a good start from JRR, and it looks like Owen Curry's got a good getaway on the 3rd row and is going to get that long straight now, or long toe down towards turn 1. Brandon Clark has got the best start out of all of them. He's looking like he's going to tip into the lead. Owen Curry on the outside, JRR on the middle as he's taking the lead, but Brandon Clark trying to stay with him. He knocks him down the inside and has stayed side by side now down towards turn 4 we go. They're side by side, the Mercedes and the Haas, going now through turn 4. Brandon Clark goes round the outside and he collides with the Haas, and there's huge contact as it looks like Caden's also spun round in the Ferrari, and Brandon Clark takes the lead, and it looks like Syke behind him, and then it's Owen Curry in 3rd as the safety car isn't out. Randro has picked up a penalty for corner cutting. I think that was to take avoiding action, as Caden picks up a 5-second time penalty. So Brandon Clark leads from Syke, leads from Owen Curry, then Randro 17, Marchi in 5th, it's Jake Mate 6th, SLR Quattro, Damie and Orabeng. Hyper 11th as it down the inside goes YT Silk into turn 12. Hyper keeps the position. Ski Fan 12th. Then it's Lucas Paul, SJ Williams and JRR looking to try get back up places as he's overtaken the Mercedes there, and Caden Conway last of them all. So Clark with just under a 1 second lead from Syke, who leads from Owen Curry. Randro under a bit of pressure from Marchi as there's a bit of battling going on here between its Jake Mate and SLR Quattro down and towards turn 1. Quattro gets the place. YT Silk on the back of them, but Quattro stays ahead as Hyper seems to be battling as well. And down at the back, all 3 drivers who collided in that contact are now down in last place, as it looks like it's Jake May is battling with Silk, and Silk gets by, and it's Jake May has a little touch there. Side by side here are Quattro and Hyper. Quattro making good ground here already, overtaking 2 cars, but Hyper's going to try and stay with him. Quattro around the outside up into P8. So it's been a brilliant start so far. Syke closing in, putting a bit of pressure on Brandon Clark, but of course no DRS on this straight or the next. It will be next lap pretty much. It'd be around turn 11 next lap is when DRS. He'll get the rear wing open. It's Jake May has retired. It's Jake May has hit the wall going in towards turn 13, and the virtual safety car is out, and the British driver, who has no podiums in over 17 starts, is going to keep that record for 18 starts, because he is out of the Mexican City Grand Prix, and the virtual safety car is out as well. No safety car, but it allows a chance for the drivers who had pitted to neutralise the grid and maybe catch up a bit. I don't really know how the Delta system works, and I've been into F1 for a long time and I still don't really know. It's Brandon Clark who leads, but that contact with JRR will be investigated after the race, and Syke will be looking at that and rubbing his hands. Hasn't won a race since a long time, actually. I think he hasn't won a race. I'm trying to think. I'm thinking back to season 3, because obviously that would have been the last time he had won a race, and I can't quite point out which race it was, because obviously there was Abu Dhabi, there was Jeddah, there was Miami and all that, but there was another race in between then, and I can't quite point my finger on it. I think that was Brazil, which of course Randro won both of them, so he hasn't actually won a race since Baku of that season, because Spa, Italy, No, I don't think he's won a race since the Baku, since 4 in a row, or maybe there was another one before that. I can't quite remember, but he's closing down Brendan Clark here. Clark keeping ahead. His high ERS capacity, both of them. So they'll be scrapping it out for a while as Hyper and Silk are battling in towards the first few corners here, and a bit of wheel nudging. Oh, he's put White Silk off the track, and Silk getting very dirty with it, and they've crashed. Hyper's crashed, he's in the wall, he's hit Ski Fan, and that's definitely a safety car. And Ski Fan's picked up a penalty for what was Silk's fault, it seems there, but Whitey Silk collides with the Aston Martin, and there will be no green cars scoring points today. Hyper out of the Mexican City Grand Prix, and we have our first safety car here 4 laps into the race, and definitely going to be really good for drivers like Caden and Lucas Paul and JRR, of course, all getting to catch up now to the cars. But Ski Fan's going to be so unfortunate. He's missing an end plate and is going to have to pit for wing damage because of a collision that was definitely not his fault. The safety car is out, and 2 drivers have already parted ways with Mexico and are on their way to Kota next up. So it's been a chaotic start, but definitely probably one of the most enjoyable starts. A lot of battling, and an incident that's definitely going to be well looked at by the stewards after the race. As Damie, Ski Fan both come into the pits, JRR has jumped himself up to 9th, the pole sitter, with contact into turn 4, has put him down and out of contention for a little bit longer until he starts to move up the field a little bit more. Quattro is picking up places, but he has Whitey Silk behind him now, who of course doesn't have the best reputation as far as cleanness, but it's up to him and whether he wants to keep racing or not to sort it out. So he's catched up to the pack now. Next will be JRR, and then we wait for the ones who have pitted. So now is probably the time to maybe talk about the calendar. So of course we're here in Mexico at the moment. We've raced here once before, along with a lot of tracks we have this season. The winner of this race was Adgedox 97 after decisions by the stewards to penalise a few drivers. It was taken on pole, of course, by that great Caden Conway lap, but we'll see if maybe that kind of on pole here curse continues. Kota we have up next, again raced once before, and that being all the way back in season 1, Ronan Hennessy taking the win that day. And up next is Spain, of course, where Caden Conway got his second win of season 5. We then moved to Monaco, which was one of the voted tracks in. We've raced there twice, Quattro and Lucas Paul winning on those occasions. We head there for the round 4, and then we go to a track making its debut, being Paul Ricard, France, just up the road from Monaco. Then we move to Great Britain on our bit of our European tour here at the moment. That was the most voted, and it's been in the calendar every season, so there was no surprise that it's appeared once again. And then we go to Austria, again only appeared once before, Caden Conway being the winner of that race as well, with 11 votes. That run was raced in before we take our season break and head on our Asian tour to Bahrain, where we've raced 3 times before, then Qatar making its debut, China twice before, Singapore 3 times before, Canada once before, and Las Vegas also making its debut before the finale, which is a little bit further down south of Las Vegas, being Sao Paulo, Brazil, where we've raced once or twice before, where Randro 17 won, along with Emilio 98 Robalino winning his first championship. So the safety car will stay out for another lap, as Brandon Clark has led every lap of this race so far. And unless SJ Williams catches up right now, I think it could come in very, very late. Nope, it stays out. And we are going to go around Mexico for one last time. I'm surprised Randro 17 didn't come into the pits and pick up and serve his penalty. Silk has came into the pits and has retired on lap 7. That doesn't mean he may not pick up a penalty for the next race. Brandon Clark still leads this race, as we have 3 retirees in the session so far. Mercy and Orabang trading places into turn 1. Nothing all friendly happening there, as the safety car takes us around one last time before we're back underway with 13 drivers. So we are about to get underway now. The safety car is flying ahead of the field, and the Mercedes of Brandon Clark is going to take us away down towards the long run, down towards turn 1. I'm sure he's dreading this. He's going to have to get one of the best getaways and leave the field asleep if he wants to keep this lead. And he's gone. And Syke has stayed quite close to him now, and it's all down to his wings now whether or not he can overtake. But look who is about to overtake. It's Owen Curry flying down the back straight and has got by Syke. He's going to look to get by Brandon as they go 3 wide into the first corner, but Syke takes a nice line and takes the lead of the race. Owen Curry has to compromise his line. He's lost out places because of that. Randro overtakes him. Brandon stays in second, and Randro has got himself up into the podium, but Owen Curry's going to send it back down the inside and retakes the podium off Randro, who's now battling side by side with SLR Quattro down into turn 6, as it looks like Orabang and JRR has had problems down at turn 6. They've both gone out. JRR has retired. As Randro continues, JRR retired on the track. Randro loses out in that battle to Quattro, as he is also disconnected from the session. So we'll try and get him back in as quickly as possible. I'll send him an invite. And let him get back in, but cars are going to start to overtake him now more than likely. But the virtual safety car is out, so that saved him. That definitely has saved him, but he's going to be a long way back now from Quattro unless that AI car does catch up. And the safety car is out now. Safety car is out. A collision with Owen Curry has happened. They have to double stack with Ski Fan, but JRR retires on track on lap 8, sector 2. So Caden has made up a few places there. He's back up into now 8. We have 4 retirees now, only 12 left. 10 laps into this race. Damie has had a clean race so far. He's moved all the way from P15 all the way up to P9 as Marshy decides to come into the pits along with SLR Quattro to make their only pit stop of the race. Orabeng the same, and Brandon Clark pitted from 2nd place, which means Damie is in the lead. I think everyone has actually made a pit stop there. I actually kind of forgot about that. If we look at the stops, everybody has made one now, Damie up including. So he is net in the lead of this race. So everybody on track has made a pit stop as Stefan is in to make another pit stop. His 3rd, this one will be. Damie catches up and leads this race, the Alpine Reserve. And I'm sure Lucky Nutshot will be impressed by this as JRR leaves the session and Skifan comes out of the pits after his 3rd stop. So it's Damie from Lucas Paul, and Caden Conway has the lead in his sights now with SJ Williams. He won't be the fastest to keep up with him. Behind is going to do him a good job of trying to protect him from Syke on the fresher tyres. Brandon will be right behind Syke, as well as Quattro will be on the restart. Randro served that penalty, which means that he's down to 9th. But again, on the fresh tyres is going to be able to maybe catch up to some of these drivers, as Marshy is just outside of the net lead. So Williams are both in the points, Alfa Romeo both out. The teams that won't be scoring points today are Haas and Aston Martin, no matter what happens this race. I'm pretty sure everyone else at least has one driver representative on the grid, and they'll at least have a chance of scoring points this race. At the moment, everybody except Aston Martin, Haas and Alfa Romeo have points, have points secured. Owen Curry and Skifan's pace will determine whether that will happen or not. SJ Williams and Caden Conway going side by side, and SJ Williams has hit into him. So what's that all about? SJ Williams has overtook the Ferrari under the safety car and is now up into 3rd place, so he's going to have to try and give that position back, or he will be penalised for that. So he's going to have to try and get that message across and get that position back, because I don't know what he was trying there, the Mercedes reserve. That of course will be a 5-second time penalty added onto his time overtaken under the safety car. And the safety car's in this lap. So Caden will be furious, but he's going to have to keep a calm head because it's not his fault, no matter what happened there. SJ Williams has overtook him, and it's too late to give the position back now, so he will get a penalty. Unless he lets him back just after the restart. But it's going to be Damie to lead us away, and it's again going to be a drag race down towards turn 1. Who out of these has the lowest wings? Damie's gone. Lucas Paul behind. Caden does really well there. He's timed it brilliantly just to be 3rd and get ahead of SJ Williams straight away. But SJ Williams with the lower wings, it seems, is coming back. Lucas Paul is going to try it down towards turn 1. Damie breaks later and keeps the lead of the race. Syke has moved down the inside of all of them and is up in the 3rd. Quattro's going to try that as well as Caden's being forced all over the place. There's Brandon Clark getting through all of them off the track. There's a big crash, a big spin there, and it's Quattro and SJ Williams coming together. As I think Marshy has lost out places because of that as well. He may have been involved in the contact. Caden has regained the places that he lost from the original restart. But Syke has got the best getaway of anyone, overtaking 2 cars nice and cleanly and is now on the back of the two cars that are on older tyres. He'll make easy work of these. And he's looking like he might be closing in on another race win, but he's collided with Lucas Paul, and there's collisions after collisions on this race, and Lucas Paul has collided and is now out of the points, and Syke is down to 8th. Anybody could win this race, as there's Orabeng and Randro colliding there, and Randro is now down and nearly out of the points as well. This is a crazy race, and I still can't predict who might win it or not, as there's Syke going round the outside of Oven Curry there, but Oven Curry keeps the place. So Caden is back up into 3rd. He's on the back of Brandon, who's on the back of Damie, who's burning that ERS, but he's not actually. Damie's burning the ERS. Brandon isn't. Brandon launches one down the inside. This will be a lovely move. Damie's going to keep it, but a lovely move from Brandon round the outside. Gets the move done, and he's up into the lead of the race here in Mexico. Damie's going to try and come back at him down towards turn 4 now. The Alpine driver is going to try and stick with it. They're both side by side, but Brandon keeps the place and leads this race. Caden now is going to force one, go down the inside of Damie. He keeps it clean. He bangs him off the track, gets real aggressive with it, but it's a clean move from the Ferrari driver, and he's up into 2nd place. We are not even halfway through this race, and there's more drama than there has been in the whole of season 4. And Caden is now going to start to try and maybe give Brandon a run for his money here for the lead of this race. Hopefully it stays clean from now on. We'll keep an eye on the tyres. His tyres are a lot older, so it'll be a hard job, but I'm sure he'll think to himself that he is quicker. It's down to him to see if he'll do that or not. Next to maybe overtake and pick up his first podium in Tier 1 is Marshy. He'll get into the podium places anyway, as he overtakes the Alpine. And Orabeng is going to hope to try and overtake Marshy as well. They get down to the braking zone. He was going to try and brake late, but he decides to leave it otherwise. Marshy up into 3rd and is running in the podium places now on those 4-lap-old medium tyres. Orabeng will be slower at the moment, but he'll definitely start to catch up a little bit quicker. There's Syke going round the outside of Damie again. Damie's going to push him wide. These two had a bit of a history there just before they started, and Oven Curry very smartly goes down the inside of both of them. Syke gets the elbows out again and pushes Damie well off the track. Damie is going to do the exact same to Syke down in towards turn 9 there, but it is, or turn 7 I should say, Syke gets the place. Hard racing, clean racing, but Syke gets the better of the Alpine. So Quattro will be looking at this race, and he'll be hanging his head in shame how it's all gone wrong. From what looked like it could have been Pole, the reigning world champion, who had a bad race here in season 4, looking like he's going to have a bad race here as well. But luckily and surprisingly, only, well, 2, 3, 4 drivers have picked up penalties. Lucas Paul picking up 2 penalties from track limits. Ski Fan as well, and Caden from track limits, and Orabeng for a collision. But Brandon leads by 1.5 seconds from Caden with the penalty, as Quattro sets the fastest lap of the race, and he's going to hope for a safety car or maybe a second round of pit stops for these drivers if he wants any chance of getting back into this race, as we are getting close to that halfway point now, and the drivers are going to start to even out a little bit more. Orabeng's picked up a penalty for track limits, as Owen Curry is staying quite close to Marshy here, and is going to hope to get by the McLaren maybe now down into turn 1. He'll have DRS. Syke will also have DRS on Orabeng. We'll keep an eye on the drivers that are higher up the grid at the moment, as Owen Curry powers down the straight, and we'll just keep an eye on the back of your camera there to see how Syke gets on with Orabeng. It's not looking like Owen Curry is going to overtake, so we'll switch to Syke instead, who is going to overtake and gets the move done. He's up in the 5th. And the AlphaTauri driver, who's definitely been, well, he's not short of any drama this race, has got himself up back into the top 5. And you'll have Orben coming back at him, but the late break in AlphaTauri keeps the place. So Owen Curry putting a lot of pressure on Marshy, who's starting to close into Caden, and you can just see that Mercedes of Brandon start to kind of peer away in the distance there. It's Owen Curry chasing down the McLaren, going through sector 2 now. Owen Curry putting a bit of pressure on as Damie seems to be getting very close to Ski Fan, who goes off the track there. Damie flies down the inside and gets the place. Here's the battle for the podium. These 3 and shortly will be Psych, all battling it out for that 2 podium places. And Owen Curry is a lot closer than he was a few laps ago, but unfortunately, unlike, well, a few laps ago I should say, last lap, Marshy will have his rear wing open and he'll be gaining on Caden Conway, and Marshy will move himself up into 2nd place. And with the slower Caden Conway, because of his tyres, Marshy is going to try and get his foot down this lap and get as far away before Owen Curry follows him. But he couldn't get too far away because Owen Curry's already passed the Ferrari and he's up into 3rd place and right onto the back of Marshy yet again. So we'll have a look next lap to see how this goes. Owen Curry still yet to win a race. He has 4 podiums, 114 points in 18 starts to his name, but never out of those 4 podiums has it been the top step. His best being a pole sitter, or a podium sitter I should say, at the British Grand Prix, or no, just a pole sitter, a podium sitter in season 4 and season 5 is all I have written down, so nothing too complicated there. So currently only one of the drivers in the podium at the moment has a race win, and that is the race leader. So he may keep that. It's looking like as Lucas Paul has had a bit of a spin there, and he has lost his front wing down at turn 7. So the race goes bad to worse for the Red Bull team, as Owen Curry, we just missed it, gets by Marshy and up in the 2nd place now on those hard tyres. It wasn't a very dramatic overtake, just faster speed on the straights, and of course that rear wing open is enough to get him the place and also close in on that race lead, which we'll keep an eye on very, very much. There's some battling going down in towards turn 1. Damie's had a bit of a spin, and Ski Fan seems to have a bit of trouble as well. They all stay close together as Lucas Paul's into the pits and SJ Williams gets by. Orabeng is keeping close to Psych. Ski Fan on the back of Damie. They're the ones that all had that bit. He's the one that had that bit of problem down at turn 1. These 2 are having a cracking battle for P8 at the moment. Other than that, the battle for the podium continues. Caden is not making these hard tyres as an excuse to drop out of the podium fight. He will push on and get as close to the McLaren as possible, but it's just on them exits and the general speed on the straight where he's not going to be able to keep up with the McLaren. He'll catch up, obviously, with the rear wing being open, but he won't get close, nowhere near close enough to be able to form an overtake, and he needs to really use his skill to be able to get that move done. So we had 16 drivers on the safety car restart of lap 10, or we had 12 drivers on the safety car restart lap 10. We still have 12 drivers here in Mexico, and Caden is getting a lot closer to Marshy. He might line one up into turn 6 here. He's not going to. You can see Brandon is still just edging away from Owen Curry, and Owen Curry is edging away from Marshy, who's very much not edging away from Caden Conway. He is right on the back of him and is sticking close through sector 2 here, and with DRS open he might try and launch one here down towards turn 12. He thinks otherwise, but they're really, really close there, and now he's going to launch it down the or around the outside and try and stay side by side with the McLaren. He's not going to be able to These two having a great battle. It's like Leclerc and Norris here. Instead, it is Manny and Caden. And now they run down towards turn 1. Manny with the podium so far and will keep it even if Caden overtakes him because of his penalty. But Caden is a lot closer this time to the McLaren and is going to try and pull alongside around the outside. But just the better and faster medium tyres are going to give him the edge. And he keeps the podium place, at least now, down towards turn 4. They're still going to be side by side. This time Caden's going to try and stick with it and is going to be down the inside in towards turn 5 and in towards turn 6. This is it for the Ferrari, and he is back up into the podium places, at least without penalties into consideration. The Ferrari driver is back where he wants to be, and he is going to have to hope for some sort of safety car and get them all on equal tyres if he wants any chance of a race win here this evening. Caden leads as Lucas Paul retires in the pits and takes us down to just 11 drivers on track here as, Caden, a lot of oversteer, or I think it was more of a rear locking going in towards turn 13, but he's kept the place. For how much longer? Marshy will have the ERS, and he's going to have a little bit more ERS as well down this straight. He's not going to burn it, he's going to let the DRS, the rear wing, do the work for him. And down towards turn 1, the McLaren is back up into P3. A solid lap, or a solid overtake I should say. Very smartly done from the McLaren driver as he continues this battle for the podium. All of this, and you'd think Syke may catch up, but he's struggling to do so on those hard tyres. And of course, I will mention that rain was expected 50 minutes from the race start, and unfortunately I did not time the race, but by doing a bit of quick maths, it's looking like that will be in about 20 minutes time. So 20 minutes, you're looking at about probably just over 15 laps, so that could be, well, unless there's a safety car, it's looking like it's going to be after the race. We'll see if it comes beforehand. The weather is approximate, so it could either come after, or it couldn't come at all, or it could come before, during, or it might not come at all. It's only giving you an approximate of what the weather may be, just like in real life is how we try and keep it. Same with the ghosting. It won't be on in this league. We're trying to keep it realistic, and other than the few crashes at the start, everyone's done a really good job at that. Caden overtakes Marshy again on the main straight, and he's back up into third. So this battle is very interesting, but SLR Quattro's finally started to catch up to some of the drivers there, but Damie comes into the pits anyway, along with Ski Fan, for their second and final pit stop of this race, which means that Quattro has another 14 seconds to go for a P7. It's looking like he's going to equal his qualifying position in season 4, and he may only finish P8 if it stays like this. Randro is probably the driver in the most of no man's land here at the moment, 13 seconds behind, 10 seconds to the next car. It is looking quite frustrating for the Uruguayan former world champion, as now none of the world champions here in CTCR are having a great race. They're all actually only separated by 4 positions: Quattro, Randro and Syke, and you could count Orbang. He was a tier 2 champion in season 5, but none of them having a good race. Everyone else above them never won a championship, and 2 of them haven't even won a race before. And they're all separated by a very small margin. Damien and Skifan, their battle for now the points will continue, as SJ Williams had that pit stop which moves him up into P9, and he's probably going to stay there at least until penalties are considered. Trying to get right up and close to each other. And we'll have a look now down towards turn 1 as Caden, I've just seen, has gotten out of that DRS range from the driver behind, which is Marshy, which is going to put him under pressure from Syke now. They were kind of dragging each other along. There goes Ski Fan past Damie and up into the points. Their nice battle continues. We'll keep an eye on Syke because he's gaining on Marshy, who seems to be struggling now. Those mediums seem to maybe start to tick off after about 12 or 13 laps, and Marshy's starting his 14th lap on those tyres, and Syke starting his 14th lap on these hards. Caden's doing a brilliant job on those 22 lap old hards that he put on lap 1. He said the comeback was on, and if he gets one more second ahead of Caden, or ahead of Marshy I should say, the comeback is well and truly complete, and he would have gone from 5th to 3rd, and God knows how further down he would have went. Owen Curry is going to just try and stick within that maybe 5-second range of Brandon. Of course, Owen has kept a fairly clean race according to the race director. Anyway, myself watching it here this afternoon, he hasn't seemed to have gotten himself into much trouble. Brandon has kept it fairly clean as well. I haven't seen much wrong with his overtaking, but JRR may come into the stewards room about that lap 1 sector 2 incident and what happened there. Brandon will hope to see that he left the car's room on the inside. If he hasn't, he may pick up a penalty and it may be Owen Curry's first win, but Brandon is flying ahead for Mercedes. They see themselves as favourites for the constructors. Of course, Alfie couldn't be here today, but they're still picking up what it seems to be 2 points at the moment with SJ Williams behind, but it will be 27 it looks at the moment, because I'm pretty sure SLR Quattro still has the fastest lap. Yes, he does. My Marshy has given up on those mediums and he's come in for the soft tyres, so he'll come out just in between Randro and Quattro, and he's going to hope that some of these drivers ahead do pit again, otherwise his podium may not be looking certain. And you'll also have to hope that those softs do go the distance, and we'll see what kind of ground he can make up. He could be like Norris in Mexico of this year, and he could be absolutely flying it. We'll see soon enough, as he's already starting to gain on Randro. The battle for points continue between Damie and Skifan. Damie came into reserve and has kept it fairly clean himself. These two are having a nice and friendly battle. Two reserves really enjoying it out there as they head down towards turn 1, and Skifan keeps the lead as like a Syke, or Marshy I should say, already gained almost a second to Randro. And he's nearly within the DRS range soon. He'll hope to get a nice lap in and set the fastest lap before overtaking Randro. The McLaren driver has raced very well today. He's also been in a few incidents himself, but he's kept it fairly clean enough to get into the position he is in now, where he'll start chasing down the drivers in front. So he is not within DRS yet, but he still is gaining on Randro as they run down towards turn 1. We'll see what Marshy can do. Of course, it isn't his full-time Tier 1 debut. He did race all the way back in Season 1. His best finish being P4 at the British Grand Prix of Season 1. And he's going to hope that it's going to be a lot better than P4 here today if other drivers do come into the pits. He is right on the back of Randro here, but Randro is starting to hold him up a little bit. He'll see if he is able to get by, and he'll have DRS. He's going to wait this move out, and he's going to go for it now down in towards turn 12, and Marshy is up in the 6th place. And it's been a very, very quick lap, despite being held up a bit by Randro, so it's looking like the fastest lap is going to go from Red Bull to McLaren, as Marshy now has to chase down another Williams driver of Orabang. He hasn't set the fastest lap yet, that lap only being a 19.9. So he'll have another lap to maybe do it. And he's going to hope that he does get a good lap in. As you can see, Quattro a long way down the road there, 7 seconds to be precise from Randro. So Randro is going to try and hopefully just stay comfortable and stay in 7th place. So Caden has kept that 3-second gap to Syke, and the penalty is only 3 seconds at the moment. Orabang has 11 seconds of penalty, so Marshy's going to get P5 nonetheless what happens at the end of this race. The clouds are starting to get darker, and I will ride on board with him next lap to see how much darker they get and if there's any raindrops appearing on the screen. Ooh, that's trouble. That's Ski Fan, who's had a bit of a spin. Now crucially, has he spun into the wall? He hasn't. He's kept it all in place. Damie's up into the points. And of course, Ski Fan with his 9 seconds of penalty, he looked like he was going to be in the points anyway. But now it's confirmed he's going to cruise that Alpine home. So trying to keep an eye on every part of the lap, I should say track here at the moment. It's looking like everywhere is still dry at the moment. And fortunately, we also have, obviously it says Brandon is a PC driver, but it's looking like we're going to have an all PlayStation podium. So an all PlayStation post-race interview, it seems. So we're back with Marshy, this part of the lap as unfortunately he's picked up a 3-second time penalty. So if there is some late pit stop drama, it's not going to be Marshy who's going to have any advantage. Of course, now 3 seconds will be taken off his race time at the end. So that's going to be crucial when it comes to the checkered flag. He still will chase down Orabang. More than likely will get up into 5th. And win, or well, I won't say win this race, but at least win a few points for McLaren. His teammate unfortunately couldn't be here tonight. Still very happy to pick up 16 drivers this afternoon. Or this evening I should say, this afternoon in Mexico. 16 drivers, 12 full-time and 4 reserve. It's safe to say it is good to be back in corner to corner racing, or as we all like to refer to as CTCR. Caden still gaining time to Syke, even with them 27 lap old tyres, but he's come into the pits. Caden, he's going to come into the pits as it starts to rain, and Caden has put on the intermediate, so that's a bold statement from Caden. He's looking to pit early, gain time, hope that it starts to pour for the drivers in front, and he starts to gain time. It is raining all over the track. It's not just down at sector 1, we are down at the furthest point away from turn 1, and it's raining here as well. So Caden has took the initiative. He's onto the intermediates. They don't seem to be working at the moment because he is losing time. Marshy is back up into P4, and he has got ahead of Orabang, which we just missed unfortunately there down towards turn 1. I'm sure it was just a fairly plain and simple overtake, but he is on them soft tyres, so he's going to maybe try and stay out for as long as he possibly can because of them softs. But especially Syke, he has a decision to make whether he goes in with Caden or he stays out. So Brandon has decided to keep that initiative, and he's going to stay out. Owen Curry, and crucially, has also made the choice to come in for intermediates. I think he may have chose the right lap. DRS still hasn't been disabled yet, so it's still a dry track according to the stewards. Marshy has decided as well to also come in for intermediates, so Syke and Brandon have a decision to make here. Owen Curry, 7 seconds down the road to Syke, 6 laps still remaining. Can they hold out? Brandon, of course, still has that pit stop margin ahead of Owen Curry. The safest thing for him would be to come in, put on his intermediates and cruise home to the race win. Quattro stayed out on the mediums. He doesn't seem to be feeling the effects of the rain. Randro, Orabeng, Marshy all on the intermediates. Marshy maybe regretting that call to come on to softs now, as he is 11 seconds away from where he once was. Caden has still lost time to Syke, so it's looking like he's thrown away his podium here. That's if Syke does come into the pits. Brandon still stays out. One last lap. He's not feeling the effects of this rain at all. It isn't damp enough yet. Syke is next, and he stays out as well. So it's up to them whether they want to stay there or not. As Randro has picked up penalty, Damie stays out on the hards. It's going to be interesting here towards the end of this race. So this will be a real test to see the pace of those intermediates. Brandon on the back of his teammate, who's also running on intermediate tyres compared to himself on the old hards. Brandon seems to be quicker, of course. Now it's a slower driver compared to Owen Curry, who is gaining time on Syke. Does Brandon still come in? He still has that pit stop window. Is he going to take the risk? He stays out again. So the decision has been made. Caden is now also gaining time on Syke. He is back in that net podium if Syke does come in. Syke will stay out though. 4 laps to go. Here's Syke's decision. It is going to come out. He's going to keep going. He thinks it's still not damp enough. Same with Quattro. He seems to have a quite comfortable gap to Marshy here. Caden, not enough of a penalty for Quattro to gain any more positions. Be interesting to see who comes on the hards, as Marshy has lost the car and he's hit his front wing, and the virtual safety car is out. So that front wing is out of the way enough for not a safety car, but Marshy's race has fallen before his eyes, and the McLaren driver is going to lose a lot of time. He's into the pits. Maybe that intermediate call wasn't the best for him. He'll come in for more intermediates, I'm sure. Quattro also comes in, and now it's the perfect time for Syke and Clark if they do decide to come into the pits. Marshy has gone back out onto hard tyres. An interesting call from him. I think that might be a mistake, because I don't think that was definitely his intentions at all. Here's Clark. He is the smart choice. With 24 seconds to the next car, Clark is going to come in. And it's going to look like he'll get these intermediates on. He'll have a great gap, and he'll stay in the lead of this race. So the only driver who has a big decision to make at the moment is Syke, who will keep staying out. And you know what? He may be a little bit closer to Brandon than we think. So it's definitely here, as Ski Fan comes into the pits and retires. Only drivers in the points here. It's dries versus wets here for the end of this race. Which tyre is the better tyre here? Is it Syke on the hards? is it Brandon Clark on the Inters? He has obviously been told DRS still is enabled. I didn't see the pop-up come up for intermediates, so it still is technically a dry track, but the rain is falling. At the moment it's pouring for Marshy down in 9th place. But for Syke, the sun could be lighting up in his favour. I don't think he has the race win in his sights, because Clark seems to be pulling away here. Syke looks like he is going to try and keep hold of this P2, and if he gets overtaken by Owen Curry, at least keep hold of his podium, because Caden, of course, with his penalty, not only has to overtake him, but then get 3 seconds ahead of him in only 2 laps time. And considering Syke is nearing the second last lap of this race and Caden is only finishing sector 3, or sector 2 I should say, it's looking like it's not going to be Caden's day on the podium. But it's definitely looking like it's going to be Clark's day. He won the last race of CTCR ever recorded, the Season 5 Chinese Grand Prix. He won it, and unfortunately it wasn't a streamed race because of the issues I had with the channel, but he did win that race, and it's looking like he's going to win the race immediately after, with 8 starts, 39 points, 1 podium to his name. He's going to make that 2 podiums definitely, and it's looking like it's also going to be 2 wins. Owen Curry still chasing down that first win. Maybe this season is the season, but at least he's going to add another 15 points to his tally and another podium to his name. Syke, he has 4 wins and 8 podiums, and he's going to be 1 away from 10 after this race. It's looking like he will take home his 9th and be the 4th driver in CTCR history to reach the 200 point mark, as he is losing a lot of time to Owen Curry, but he's not losing enough. Brandon Clark goes through the stadium section now, and he is going to start the penultimate lap of this race. Now there seems to be a battle going on for 5th here, but it looks like Quattro has got his tyres finally fired up and it's going to burst away from Orabang, who of course has that heavy penalty as well of 6 seconds. There's no point in him trying to battle that out. We had 16 drivers at the start, 6 have left us, 10 remain, and the one currently on top is Brandon Clark, winning for Williams in China, and he's going to win for a fellow Mercedes engine team of Mercedes this afternoon as he finishes his final sector 1 of this race. Of course, has won multiple races in Season 5 in Tier 2. He has reserved and became a full-time driver in Season 5 of Tier 1. He of course won the final race ever in CTCR Season 5 before the restart here tonight. He's been with us since Season 1 of Bahrain. He took a short break but returned in Season 5, and he's had a career of ups and downs, but as he heads through the stadium section here, it's going to be glory in the rain for Mercedes as Brandon Clark is going to round the final corner here in Mexico and win the Mexican Grand Prix. He takes the lead of the championship. Mercedes take the lead of the championship. He'll be battling with his teammate for sure towards the end of the season. It's Owen Curry against Syke at the end, and Syke pips him by only a 1/10 of a second. He finishes in second. Owen Curry on the podium, and Caden comes clabbering across the line in 4th. Quattro got a 5-second gap to Orabang in that final lap. He has made a brilliant recovery drive and finishes in 5th. And Williams, although may have been aiming higher, are still going to take home over 10 points for the team. Orabang slows down as I think they're going to go side by side together. To the line they go. Quattro and Orabang, or Randro and Orabang, finish 6th and 7th. Marshy, unfortunately, no front wing to finish himself off, but he'll think he could have got so much higher this afternoon. It's only going to be 8th for the McLaren driver. Still, some solid points taken home, and his first points since season 1. And then it's going to be SJ Williams to cross the line before we wait for Damie, who's making his Tier 1 debut as a reserve. He'll take home the final point here this afternoon. So, we'll ask the 3 winners who fancies an interview. So we'll keep an eye on the incidents just to let everyone know who wants to maybe get rid of a time penalty. That has been the race. A brilliant race, in fact. So unfortunately Brandon doesn't have his PS4 set up for a interview. Psych would not like the interview. That is perfectly okay with him. And Oven Curry, I think, will have an interview. Brandon is going to be a pre-race show interview tomorrow or next week in Kota. And we'll just head into the showroom, have a look at that Alfa Romeo car, and we will give Oven Curry a listen. As you just have to wait for a moment as we get him into the party. Hello, Owen.
Hello there.
How are you getting on? I'm pretty sure your mic is obviously on share because you've done the commentary before, so I'm sure it is. You're the only one who'll join us. Psych wouldn't like the interview, and Brandon doesn't have his PS4 set up at the moment. He'll be ready for next week. It's a pre-race interview, so it's just going to be you. So
Well,
you all sorted? Yeah, yeah. Okay. So of course, let me just get the race results up. So of course you started P3 and finished P3. So I'm guessing at the start of the race, if you were told that, I'm guessing you couldn't have asked for more. Tell us about your qualifying and how you got on.
quali was questionable, honestly. I could have maybe got further up, but I got blocks on my last lap. But yeah, I think I was the only one of like the top 6-ish running low downforce, which was very scary because I think I had the quickest first sector by 2/10, and then everything else was a bit slow. But yeah, it was quite good, really.
Yeah, and maybe that setup probably came back to bite you, it seems, at the end when the rain came out. Of course, 18 starts, 114 points and 4 podiums. Now it's 5 podiums, and it could have been a few more points there at the end, just barely being pipped by Psych. Just talk us through your race, and of course then maybe go into a bit of detail of how you felt at the end, switching onto the Inters.
I mean, the race was a bit chaotic, honestly, because
Yeah.
the start was quite, well, I mean, turn 1 was, I nearly got the lead and then I very much didn't, and then it all went to hell at turn 4. But it was a fairly clean race for the most part, except for that one bit where I might have caused a safety car, but that didn't happen. Who remembers that? Yeah, but that was a bit annoying actually, because I spun weirdly out the last corner, and then everyone was sort of flying past me too wide and I couldn't move. So yeah, that wasn't ideal, and that caused a safety car, which isn't really very fair because it helped me save myself, but there's not much I could have done about it.
Yeah, well, of course it was definitely a race where you were up and down the order a lot, but of course at the end, at the end you did manage to come through and you made the right decision going onto the Inters, because it was very treacherous out there, and Psych done an unbelievable job, especially in the final bits of the lap, final laps I should say, to stay ahead. Of course, I think it was less than a second, I think, or less than a tenth of a second. So look, in hindsight you may have got it, but at the end of the day you are on the podium, so you are going to add 15 points to your team, and of course your teammate couldn't score today. Up next is COTA, our only race we go to in the Americas before the end of the season. How do you feel around COTA?
I'll be honest, it's probably my least favourite track apart from Vegas and Miami. So yeah, it's fun, though that's leaning towards one that I will definitely not be finishing. But yeah.
Yeah, so you clearly don't like America. I'm guessing, have you been?
Yeah, it's a bit humid, honestly. Yeah.
So yeah, the tracks don't cope with you very well. But sure, best of luck. You're P3 in the standings. We'll see how long you stay there. Maybe go up, or we'll see.
I'm not sure about that one.
It's
Legend will be here next week, won't he?
He will. Alfie will be here, and I'm thinking a few others. I think McBot may return as well. Kofi, we are hoping to see back as well. So some fast drivers, and of course anyone who maybe comes in during the week, and reserves as well. So we'll see how it goes on.
Yeah. It's a shame Kofi couldn't race actually. I know you might be not annoyed him about that actually, but he was fully intending on racing, except he got forced to babysit like an hour before.
Well, there's no problem with that. He let me know, and that's the most important thing, unlike another driver who's on the grid. Listen, thanks for coming in for the interview, and very well done on your P3.
Thank you. We'll see how long it lasts in the standings.
Right. So that has been round 1 of season 6. It is Brandon Clark who leads the way in the standings. Psych will be second, but we'll see how long that will last, with of course penalties and other things, etc. Oven Curry will be third, and the rest of the grid will make itself out in terms of incidents and how that happens. I've been LG Gaffo, and I will see you next week in COTA.